Hey everybody, Robert Dunt, founder of ArtTop10.com, and here we are today at the EY exhibition Impressionists in London, French Artists in Exile 1870 to 1904. And it's a cracking exhibition of lots of lovely Impressionist work, so let's have a quick nip round through each of the different rooms. This is the introduction room to the exhibition, basically setting the premise about how the Franco-Prussian War drove all the artists out of France and into Britain. Intriguingly enough, there were no extradition treaties in Britain, and you didn't even need a passport to get to Britain at the time. Quite extraordinary. But so the artists fled here, which is where they managed to continue doing their artwork, and there's quite a few intriguing pictures in here about, which basically shows the horrors of war, such as these sort of drawings of dead bodies on the street. This is the first room in the exhibition, the future Impressionists London Circle. It's got some absolutely lovely pictures in here, like this brilliant Claude Monet, where he was working on the sort of the mist and the fog. Absolutely cracking painting. Over here you've got these lovely Pissarros. This is of Upper Norwood, because obviously everything's of places in Britain. Cracking painting. Intriguingly, when he fled from France with the war, the Prussians destroyed hundreds of his paintings. Unbelievable, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic painting here of the Avenue Sydenham. Look at those fantastic tonality and those beautiful little coloured buildings at the side. Another cracking Pissarro over here of Upper Norwood. Quite interesting, he was working on those sort of suburban areas, but I mean, just producing beautiful paintings of them. And here we go, yet another lovely one. I'm sure I've seen this somewhere before, Courtauld Gallery. Fantastic, look at that lovely train and the smoke and the tonality and the just beautiful painting. Intriguingly enough, here's some Sisley's as well. Intriguingly enough, when Monet first came here, he had a dreadful time when he came to London. Had no money, only managed to paint about 7 paintings over about a 7-month period. This was one of the ones he did during that time. Didn't manage to sell anything. Tried to sort of do something that was more English, sort of alluding to literary works with this woman holding a book. But had an absolutely dreadful time. And basically only did so few works because he didn't have enough money to buy artist materials. But it's interesting to remind you, even though these pictures are now in the Tate, that when the artists were making them, or trying to make them, they had an exceptionally rough and tough time to produce them. We're in the second room here, which is about James Tissot. He was successful in France before the war broke out and seemed to manage to find quite quick success in England itself. Here, when he moved over, he seemed to kick up a friendship with the editor of Vanity Fair, and that seemed to get him invited to quite a lot of high society. It's quite interesting. These are not what you would think of as classic Impressionist kind of paintings. They're a bit more tightly painted, but it's quite interesting. I think it's very interesting that this guy managed to quite quickly get some success in England. The pictures are very finished in a way, not very impression-y, as it were, not very, with Impressionists was a term for something that wasn't quite finished. These are very, very finished, very fully organised, but absolutely fascinating, consistently fascinating still how artists manage to succeed and how they don't, and how quickly Tissot managed to go from success in France to success in England. This is room 3, and it's quite interesting. This is about an artist called Legros, who's at the heart of the French refuge community in London. Never actually heard of Legros, but it was intriguing. He was encouraged by Whistler, Daniel Gabriel Rossetti, Edward Burne-Jones and George Watts all secured commissions for him, and Monet and Pissarro lunched with him. I always find it's quite interesting about these artists who, once again, had a lot of success at the time, or an easier time at the time, seem to have not so much of a lasting legacy. I mean, it's very interesting to look at these pictures and find out about this artist, but it's quite extraordinary. Again and again, the ones who seem to have a tougher time, actually incidentally like Monet or Pissarro, the ones who have a tougher time seem to end up with a lasting legacy. Is that because they're pushing a more radical form of art, or is that because they are better artists? Is the taste of people more open to more easily accessible paintings at the time? This is, I think, is what is meant to be his masterpiece of Legros, which he exhibited at the Royal Academy. Intriguingly, Monet put his paintings into the Royal Academy, but was rejected every time. So once again, then you can see that taking place. The subject's devotional, but Legros chose to depict modern rather than historical figures. Sounds a bit like Caravaggio. His choice of Exile, which he had painted in France for exhibition in London, paid off. This painting helped make his name on the side of the channel. I think it probably was to fit in that sort of, Gabriele Rossetti kind of style. Possibly also it's quite literary. I'm always obsessed that English are much happier with literary paintings of a story than one that's purely visually based. Here we are in room 5, and this is probably one of the best rooms of the exhibition. It's absolutely stunning, frankly. All these fascinating paintings, especially by Pissarro, that I never knew existed. But this is one of Q Green. It's just fascinating to see these English well-known spots through the eyes of an Impressionist. I guess we're used to seeing Impressionists painting French countryside, but to see them painting English places, just absolutely cracking stuff and quite fascinating. Hampton Court Green, with some cricket taking place. Fascinating to see these pictures. This is the one I was chatting with the curator about earlier, Elizabeth Franklin. And Kew Gardens rhododendron dell. Apparently this rhododendron dell still looks much the same today as it did then. This is absolutely brilliant. So you can have a look at this and head down to Kew Gardens and just see what Pissarro's imagination is doing, which is just the beauty of being able to see these English paintings by Impressionists, because you can really have more time to think about what their imagination was doing, what they were thinking about when they were painting, how they were working. There's another cracking one, St Anne's Church in Kew, London. And it's so beautiful, all these sort of flickery things, and they've got senses of optical art, all sorts of things within them. And then this is a fantastic little Monet over here. It's really good. It really gives that sense of Monet just painting light. It's a weird sort of kind of a grey day, but look at those lovely greens and almost bluey greens in the background, that sort of heavy sky. The Impressionists love all the fog and all the things they found in London, which obviously gave them an absolutely sterling opportunity to really make the most of their colours. I mean, when people complain about England being grey, I never think of it. It's just got numerous different colour opportunities that you can work on here. Well, I'm still in room 5 here, and this is a lovely Sisley. Look at that. I mean, you've got a lovely, I do like the tonality of the Impressionists. You get a lovely sense of it, those darker houses, the bridges, that crazy sky. I mean, look at that sky. It's completely crazy, swooshing mad brushstrokes back and forth. And then you've got more controlled. I mean, that's what I love about these sort of paintings. Look at that. You've got all this different kind of textures, style, feelings in something that's representational. But I mean, what you're getting is some extraordinary collection of painting. Here with the bridge, you've got something much more calm, smooth painted on. Down the river, you've got dabs of mad colour going back and forth. You've got these little people, and you've got this crazy sky. You've got all these different sections of the painting. And if you come over here, there's quite a fascinating Monet over here, which is Leicester Square at night. Room 6, another cracking room, this one. Once again, it's through the outsider's eyes, fog, the Thames and Westminster. There's another fantastic Pissarro. Look at that. Quite extraordinary Charing Cross Bridge in that picture. You've got a real dark tonality of the bridge and the lighter Westminster in the background. Fascinating large painting here by Giuseppe De Nitis. Another big Westminster painting, really going for that fog. I love that whole fog and smoke. And it's nice to see, I guess, people coming to England and seeing the benefits of all this mist and exotic sense to it. It's not just a grey country, but a country with numerous colours within that grey. And you've got some cracking paintings here by McNeil Whistler, I like this one, especially this one here in the centre. Cracking painting, look at that, misty with the lights popping out of it. Really good. And then you've got another one here with these lights popping out. Interesting light and shadows is a thing for quite a lot of artists to work on. This is a penultimate room in the exhibition, and undoubtedly the sort of high point to which Monet's Thames series. It's quite interesting. Now Monet had more money. He did 100 paintings at once he had going. Fantastic, 100 paintings he was working on. Extraordinary. And these are some of the Houses of Parliament ones. So this is a fog effect. And it's brilliant. What's beautiful about this room is you can move from one to another. I mean, I think it's so nice to see this single motif repeated, the different ways it's worked on. I mean, that really shows the imagination of the artist. Look at that. That's got lovely, fluffy brushstrokes like the sort of giant water lilies in Paris. And then this one's got sort of tougher, more burning brushstrokes in it, more sort of gold and sun coming out of the side, sort of thicker paint. It's really splendid. And then over here you've got a guy rowing, but it's more misty and murky, more atmospheric. And then you come around here, you've got this sort of bright red sun lurching itself into it, and Westminster's beginning to almost disappear. It's melting into that sun, like melting into a sort of volcano. And then here you've got a brilliant sun shimmering it, like this one. It's not melting into the volcano, it's sort of melting into the water. But I mean, cracking stuff. I mean, what do you want? 6 of these pictures you could look at. You come back and look at these again and again and again. Keep looking at them. We've got another great one here of Charing Cross Bridge. Superb stuff with Westminster just sort of vanishing into the background there. And actually this painting here, which I almost think is my favourite, bizarrely enough, the whole exhibition, which is a train going across Charing Cross Bridge again. I absolutely love this little bit of blue in the centre. Funny, when you get up to it, it's not even very bright blue, it's kind of quite a murky blue, but strangely enough it looks incredibly bright. It just shows you, doesn't it, that it doesn't really matter which colour you use, it's the way you balance the colours together. Look at this is absolutely fantastic. You can actually see the edges of this canvas. Look, it's even propped into, you can't quite see, you can propped into there with like a little bit of cork just propped into the frame. Look at it. It's funny, isn't it? Everything today is so commercially organised. This is obviously commercial, but it's just got a lovely, it's got a lovely sort of sense of it actually being a real painting, actually being something that somebody made, put into a frame. And I guess that is the beauty of paintings. Like, I mean, you've got all these wonderful brush marks inside it. You get a real sense of that beautiful Monet thing where you've got the paint on top of the brush marks. I love it. So you can see the older marks that are covered up, the sense of the artist's hand. Just genius. Absolute genius. Cracking stuff. So this room's a cracker. Absolute cracking room. Worth coming to this one just on its own. As I said, this last room is kind of like a coda to the rest of the exhibition. This is Durand and the Thames. So Durand, after seeing Monet's things, quite interesting what he said, in spite of everything I adore him, wasn't he right to render with his fugitive and durable colour the natural impression, which is no more than an impression, without lasting power, and did he not increase the character of this painting? As myself, I'm looking for something different, something in nature which on the contrary is fixed, eternal, complex. Interesting. So he says Monet's not complex, probably saying he's just painting what he sees. I'm surely there's a complexity in that. Difficult to discuss vision, but I love the Durand things anyway, with the bright, striking colours. It's interesting, he says he's looking for something, so he's looking for something in nature which is fixed, eternal and complex. So I suppose it's quite nice. Monet was trying to paint nature as it is, and Durand maybe says he's trying to rip it up to get something new and exciting, but obviously, you know, in comparison, look at these crazy, crazy beautiful colours coming out of these things. The patches of white in the painting. Canvas these days is obviously gone a bit more beigey colour after it's been around for years. But I mean, cracking way to end this exhibition actually with these bright, bright pictures. Really gives a sudden sort of zing of everything. I suppose in a way it also tells you what the Impressionists set up. They set up this use of colour. They set up not having to be tied to detailed depictions of things. But I mean, beautiful final room actually, really getting to me. This picture, I wasn't too into it at the beginning, but actually really beginning to like it. I mean, it's just so vibrant, isn't it? It's such a powerful expression of what Durand was thinking, what he was trying. I love the idea that he was literally trying with this to sort of dig into the eternal, complex nature of nature and of the world. Anyway, so overall, it's an absolutely stunning exhibition. I don't think you have to love the Impressionists to enjoy this exhibition. I mean, there's so much to look at, so much about how painters work, their imagination, what interests them, and how they develop. And I'm also quite interested in how the struggle they had. Pissarro's paintings all being destroyed by the Prussians, hundreds of them destroyed. Monet coming to England, no money, getting refused by the Royal Academy. And fascinating enough, this is probably doing the summing up in this room, because it probably is the cracker with the 6 Monets. Interestingly enough, did he sell any of these Monets when he was alive? No, couldn't sell any of them. He couldn't sell any of these pictures of Westminster. And now, how much are they worth? Millions, I should think. But nobody would take them. Just is amazing how hard it is on artists to survive. The only one that was bought, I think in 1908 or something, was the one behind me. This was bought by a German gallery, and the head of the German gallery almost was forced to resign for having bought it. So there you go. Not only is it a beautiful exhibition, fantastic colours and the tonality the Impressionists always use, but on top of that, there's quite a lot of story about what it means to be an artist and how hard it is. So, absolutely brilliant show. Thoroughly recommend it to come along. As ever, please like the video, subscribe, and cheerio. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bumbuckler.